Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook on Friday the 26th of July. So we've pushed the burst of extreme heat out of the way, but in its wake is a complicated and rather humid atmosphere, one that will produce a lot of rainfall in some places through this weekend. And the forecast for next week is a complicated one as well, with a slack pressure pattern, everything moving around slowly, a good deal of dry weather, but the risk of some bursts of rain never too far away. Let's just start with a look at the sequence then into the weekend. This running on in 3-hour steps, the rainfall coming in from the east on a slow-moving frontal zone. It will be heavy and prolonged across the Pennines, moving into the lakes, across the southern uplands, across the highlands, becoming focused on western areas, increasingly through into the middle of the day on Saturday. But where that rain band is in place, some prolonged heavy falls are possible. If we just take the sequence on to Saturday night, early hours of Sunday, it doesn't go too far. So over that part of the world, from the western coast of Scotland to Dumfries and Galloway to the lakes and Pennines, totals of rain really starting to mount up. And even into Sunday daytime, we'll be around, if not pepping up again, into some heavy bursts of rain. Totals then over around 36 hours until the end of Sunday daytime, looking something like this. The absolute numbers are hard to absolutely judge, but in a zone from about Skye to the West Highlands down to Dumfries and Galloway, the lakes and Pennines, 50 to 100 mil is believable, and some forecast models have in excess of 120 mil across the lakes and Pennines. Not absolutely set in stone that that's the figure, but suffice to say, very wet underfoot with the risk of some flooding in these areas through the weekend. So there's the synoptic chart for Saturday. It's that long warm front that extends from a zone of low pressure that's over the Low Countries. The heat and humidity is really still inherent in the atmosphere, and it's a lot of moisture available to be dumped across the hills of northern Britain over the next 36 hours or so. It's not the outright instability and thunderstorms that we've seen. This air mass has stabilised, if you like, but it's a very moist one. And as that front just stays in place, it will wring itself out like a sponge over the next couple of days. Across the eastern side of the Highlands, though, for Saturday, that front will more or less clear. So for the Cairngorms, the northeastern corner, you'll be largely dry. And equally, for much of Wales, that front has never quite got to you. So again, you're mainly dry, albeit with some drizzly rain and low cloud, maybe around the coast. Subtle changes in the position of the low pressure and the front into Sunday, just shuffling its way south and westwards slowly. Across the Highlands, with some convergence zones in place, there'll be the risk of some thundery downpours breaking out and moving about slowly through into Sunday afternoon. The main front itself are likely to be focused across the far southwest of Dumfries and Galloway, possibly the lakes and the southern half of the Pennines, maybe just fringing into Wales, but even then not quite getting into this part of the world. Next complication surrounds the low pressure system in the southwest approaches and where that goes into the early part of the week. By Monday, it looks as though that moves toward the English Channel and northwest France. There's one or two forecast runs that make more of that, but the consensus would take that more or less south of the British Isles. We're left then with still a flabby area of low pressure that's got all the leftovers of previous days and the previous front that is around. Some instability, some humidity, some warmth, and that may again trigger off some local bursts of rain and some thunder, possibly where the air just converges together, lifts over the hills, and the eastern side of the Highlands, I suspect, is the focus of those bursts of possibly thundery rain for Monday afternoon. Showers scattered across England and Wales. There will be some instability in them, so again, there may just be a chance locally here of some thunder. Heading into midweek, and we won't dwell on the charts too much because there's a lot of uncertainty about how things evolve by the time we get here. Monday's little low to the south seems to be scooting off towards the Low Countries. There's some fronts trying to push in from the Atlantic. How soon they arrive, open to question. In between, a fairly slack westerly type of pattern with some instability in the atmosphere. So again, there's the chance for some bursts of rain, possibly a thundery shower locally. The eastern side of the Highlands, once again, could be the focus of those. It's a fairly warm, fairly humid air mass. There'll be some low cloud, focused mainly around western mountains. Some breaks, most likely better toward the east, away from showers. Treated carefully, but that's the chart for Wednesday. A warm front starting to push in from the southwest, some low cloud around western hills, patches of rain, the odd shower, but pressure just trying to build a little bit maybe, so those showers may lose their intensity, but it doesn't look absolutely set fair at this stage. So it's a bit of a summertime mess as we go onwards into the start of August. Pressure is fairly slack, it's on the low side, we're just not quite genuinely getting a big area of high pressure to come and park itself over us for any long-lived settled spell. It's the idea then of some low cloud, there'll be some showers, there'll be some patches of rain, there may be some heavy showers in there at times. I suspect the focus of those is on Scotland, where slack pressure hangs on, whilst higher pressure starts to build across England and Wales, which may just suppress the tendency for showers to form. Basically, high pressure later in the week is starting to edge a little bit further northwards, but it's struggling to do so with any great substance. There's still low pressure out over the Atlantic, waiting in the wings to bother us as we head onwards towards next weekend. Depends which forecast model you look at, basically, in terms of how things develop by then. A lot to play for just how things unfold. Some indications are quite optimistic towards next weekend, keeping that low at bay over the Atlantic at that stage, with many places being predominantly dry. Others start to bring that low in a bit more quickly, and I think whichever way we look at it, that low will start to make more inroads as we go into the first full week of August, if you like, starting the 5th. And if that comes in, then more generally broken, unsettled, cool, wet, and at times windy weather could well be the order of things as we go into that following week. A lot going on then, and a lot of complexity to get through over the next week or so. Not an easy one to pin down the forecast details, so stay right up to date every day for all the latest updates for your local area on our website, and you can stay informed as well with us on social media. Thanks for watching this video today. Bye for now.